Heads up, herd. I'm Gillian Shaw, and I'm joined today by Dr. Thomas Teskey and Dr. Penny Lloyd. And together we are herd, and so are you. Thank you for joining us. We felt that it was our responsibility to step up and speak into what's current with the Paris Olympics, what we've been seeing, what people have been saying. We wanted to step into how we deal with such big topics. So we've come together to be together in herd to see what emerges from the intelligence of us together so that we may address a really important moment in time, almost like a pivotal point in the future of equestrian sport, but also us as individuals who passionately care about horses and what we do with them. So a big
Yeah,
topic.
it feels like some of the extreme things that happen can often bring us to these times. The blood in the mouth of a horse, or the leaked video, for example, of the horse being treated the way it was being treated by the famous dressage rider, Charlotte. And so I know it's dramatic, right? It's big time
Yeah,
drama, and we can we can see we can see the value in looking at that and processing through it to not stay in that. But what more is there to see uh, besides just that video or just that blood? Is there more to see here?
indeed. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught in the reaction of what is seen. And I don't know about you guys, but it was a very difficult video to watch. For me, I watched I don't think I saw the full version, but even within that, 40-second clip, I was struggling to get beyond the first 10 seconds. So yes, it is shocking. It does, if you love horses and you're sensitive, it does give you a reaction right away. And so I guess what's interesting for me is what do we do with that? What do we do with those feelings that come up that are so strong, that are so heartbreaking, that this is the apparently the pinnacle of where we're at in our expression of greatness in the world of competitive horsemanship.
And so what I see too is, what is she trying to achieve? So there is the horrific part of it, but then to look a level deeper at who is this person and what is she actually trying to achieve? Like, what are her bigger goals when it's beyond an ego place, beyond a external validation place? What is it that she's wanting to achieve with her horse? And what is it that we're all wanting with our horses to experience? And how do we cultivate that at a deeper level? Like, how do we connect and come into an experience of oneness and create a win-win, something where the horse is actually larger than it is on its own, with a human. Like, what does that even look like? I mean, a horse alone is not the same as with a herd of horses, but what does that look like? A horse with a human being greater than they could on their own. And to me, that's a win-win. And that's what sports are all about, or having that dedicated time together in creating greatness, which is what the Olympics is all about. It's like feeling the greatness of what's the next level of what it is that we can do as humans. What is it that we can do with horses? What can we do together as a bunch of humans talking about a common topic that's like a big topic? And what can we create working together instead of dividing and squabbling about stuff
Yeah,
or persecuting? like how can we come together and consider the horse's perspective and what it is that we want, and then find some balance between those two, to create more than what we could on our own.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, absolutely. And to get there, we have to first recognize what is going on in that video is an expression of human ego. We have to get down to the fact that what you're saying is absolutely true, but that's not what's happening. It's not an expression of greatness. It's an expression of human domination over the horse as a tool for the human to be great. And the horse is suffering clearly as a consequence. If you can, feel into how the horse is feeling in that video, it's not a happy partner in that situation. So being clear about the motives of where sport has gone is a good place to start, to recognize that what is this human ego, or is this love of an animal and wishing to, what you describe, Penny, so eloquently. It is clearly not that. Clearly not that.
Yeah, we don't have to blame the sport as it is, or we don't have to blame the trainers, or even the viewing public is has a lot of innocence around what's happening until we start to point it out, and that's where these extremes seem to be able to help us actually shine a light on, hey,
Yeah.
that doesn't look quite right. Do you
Right.
agree? It's like, yeah, you're right. That doesn't seem like that would be necessary to do that. And thinking long term, I wonder, could it be that we are uh, pushing for what it might look like for humans and horses with more herd-like tendencies and behaviors to come into competition, but not the kind of competition that's so fiercely uh, and one-sidedly. Oh, I'm gonna do at any cost. I'll do these injections, or I'll use these drugs. No, it would give a sense of, oh, we're coming together to share what we love about being with our horses. I have a feeling that we might be on the edge of uh, shining a light on more of what's possible for demonstrating excellence, demonstrating professional riding and professional training, uh, because we're herd animals. Horses are herd animals, and together to amplify that and uh, be able to show that to people who don't have horses, but they like to watch and they like to see what's possible. That's what I'm wondering about right now. If we could end up helping push towards something that would be more herd-like, more fun to watch. Even imagine people and their horses coming together in that sort of a setting. I can dream anyhow. It feels good to think about all the horses together more than.
there is synchronized swimming, right? Dr.
Yeah,
Tom.
there
Yeah,
you
there's
go.
synchronized swimming. It's like, how does that look like with a bunch of riders
Uh-huh.
out there? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's like that.
But that's the change
Yeah,
that's the change we're looking for, right? That's where we want to go. Uh, so so how do we deal with this kind of situation? Meaning, if you care and you're sensitive, there's a visceral reaction to what was clear abuse of an animal, sustained, not a momentary thing. How do we turn that into something productive? How does it help us bring about change? What is a healthy way to, because if we're upset by this and that's what we put out to the world, it's the same vibration as the problem. and we're just adding, and it doesn't feel good. Within ourselves, we are upsetting ourselves. And if we use that as fuel to be hateful, judgmental, we are only eroding our own inner well-being. So how can we turn that those natural feelings of seeing an animal suffering into something that would change what we're seeing? How can we healthily respond to this situation?
Well, for me, it goes back to, and this might be repeating myself a little bit, but to not just look at that moment, but to look deeper into that, into a person, and see what it is that we're really to achieve, what it is that we're really wanting with our horses, and then just questioning what we've been doing, and then work together and get ideas from other people too on it's amazing some of the things that are already out there that people have been working on quietly, and those are options for us then to actually begin to experience the things that we're actually wanting to experience. So I'm talking about, again, the greatness and the connection and the beauty and movement and the and the flow, being in the flow with your horse and connected, and all those sort of things. That's what people want. And so how do we create the real deal versus something that's imposed, and seek that out and encourage others that when you see it in them, encourage it in them.
Yeah, so as usual, you go so deep so quickly. We all have to run to catch up. So what you're saying is for the individual to question their motives themselves. So this is an opportunity to look within. And have I ever lifted a whip to a horse in anger? If that's a yes, then I'm no better than. So to cast judgment upon is not helpful. It doesn't help anything move forward. So there's a self-acceptance that has to come then from the fact that we've all at some point dominated a horse to get an outcome that we want for ourselves. So in accepting that, we can come to peace with seeing other people doing it, because that's all that's happening. Someone under extreme pressure trying to force an outcome so that they feel good about themselves, they feel validated, they feel whole, they feel worthy to be somebody. So those are the motives that you're suggesting we question with ourselves and our own horses. Why are we doing what we're doing? Is it to promote yourself because you feel like you're lacking? Fundamentally, you believe that you're not good enough, or not, you're doing it so that you can have an identity of success. Those are the things you're talking about, right? That we can question within ourselves with our horses to know the difference between whether we're doing this for our own gain or for the good of both of us, horse and human. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Which is just a tiny bit of what you said. Like,
yeah, to question those things and then look for better ways every day and every moment when we're with our horses, and lead the way into the change that we wish to see.
There you go.
And bringing awareness to the fact that so many of these amazing feats of athleticism are able to be accomplished, absolutely, and actually probably wouldn't surprise you that horses and people can actually exceed what you think what you have seen before, or what you think is possible. They're actually even further, there's even greater abilities that are untapped. Why? Because we aren't really augmenting and supporting and nurturing the real nature, the real fire and power within. And when those two come together with the intent of a human to honor that, and a horse that feels that, oh, you want me to show you something? Okay. you're not gonna stifle me with something choking me in my mouth, or you're not going to uh, nail anything to my feet, because it's a soft arena after all. And I would like to have my feet working perfectly and be able to feel every little thing. And that would be great. And oh boy, now the horse is in this sense of, oh, let me, because I feel with you, human, I feel like you're wanting me to show you, because you see the difference there in the trainer or the rider who's under so much stress, so much, I got to get this right and I got to do this right pattern and this and that. It's so dictating. It lacks the partnership, right? Um, so that got me just wondering about that good sense of permissiveness that the humans could be like, hey, my friend, my horse friend here, show me what you got. And the horse would be like, oh yeah, I can
Yeah.
do that.
That's exciting. It's so exciting.
I love what you're saying, Dr. Thomas, because it's also like when we're trying so hard, we're like
Mm.
we're all like in resistance, and we're trying so hard. And when we just relax a little bit, there's a whole new joyful level that can come through, and also a two-way. Like when we're just like one way trying to do everything so hard with our horses versus actually having, we're actually listening, and like you say, then all of a sudden the horse will be like, hey, yeah, I can do this too. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then it becomes a back and forth and into these levels that we're all really wanting to experience.
And
So
that's exciting. That's so exciting. And we're the ones that get to do it. I think that's a great point, Dr. Thomas. We're calling you Dr. Thomas today. Um, that's what your herd showed me, is the difference when horses are not confined. Wow, they're so much more athletic. They're so much more flexible. They just look different. They feel different. And to have a partner like that, it's like that's an elite athlete that's natural. To think what's possible
Mhm.
is
Yeah,
is
there's
mind blowing.
a freedom of expression that we talk about, that we want to nurture in our declaration that we have
Yeah.
written, to honor that freedom of expression in ourselves as well, right? And that draws us to them, so we start feeling that together. And so, I think back to competitive sports, or I think back to I love the synchronized swimming uh, comparison there. So many times when I've watched horses and people, it looks like a big school of fish just moving together through the water. It's more than possible. And I really think that's where we're headed with the next level. If you were to up your horsemanship and up your level of appreciation and honoring of what it is we want to uh, do with these animals, we would be looking at that. And I think it's also important to point out why does it matter to uh, call it out when there's blood in a horse's mouth? Why does it matter to call it out when we see a video of the abuse? For me as a veterinarian, it uh, I'm supposed to be the animal health professional. I am the animal health professional, and I'm saying that that's not healthy. That's not conducive to staying healthy, or uh, getting through any sort of disease process. We don't want stress. We don't want excessive pressures on any one part of the body that causes an imbalance. And there are ways to nurture that. We call it holistic medicine, or uh, there's so many modalities out there for looking at assessing and helping horses with their overall health. We didn't necessarily learn that in veterinary school, Penny, but it seems like there's more and more stuff coming around to help people and their horses meet this synergist. You talk about this synergy where we get to more power, more expression. It really feels like it can go that way.
yeah.
together.
and we can even create that with our approach in healing with horses. Like that whole synergy is like, how do you create a more healing circle versus just applying a treatment? And so, those are the kinds of things that in our current herd makeover that we're doing here right now, that we're working on. We're having what we're calling placebo parties. And so there's things like that we're working on as a group, to support the animal and support ourselves, so that both the animal and so both the horse and the human are enjoying themselves, and that's a healing environment. So
yeah,
on top of the medications and everything. Yeah.
And it comes back to dropping ego, dropping agenda, and coming together for the good of all of us. And that's a process, right? And I'm so glad you brought in the declaration there, Dr. Thomas, because the video shows so beautifully a moment where the whole herd takes off and Sage is left behind. So go watch the video, because they're a ragtag bunch, right? They're a bunch of, like, you've brought these horses together who all didn't have much of a chance at life where they were. So they're a bit of a motley crew, right? And not that impressive at first glance. And then when you see them take off, I mean, wow. And Sage is left behind, so you get to see that moment where she decides to go. If you watch that video, that is an extremely athletic horse that is not trained, that is not in the Olympics, but it gives you an idea of the difference that we're talking about between a confined animal and one that has a more natural life, what they're capable of, athletically speaking, in their bodies when they're healthy. And that's what we're all trying to get to, right? A healthy expression, not equine expression, a healthy human expression. And then drop-in agenda and ego becomes about, what do we want to do together for fun?
I think we can demonstrate even what that looks like with a little more help from other professionals out there, people who really get what this is that we're speaking to, with feeling into, actually asking the horse. Can you imagine asking the horse their opinion? You can do that, right? That Penny, that's what you're doing with your makeover there. You're interviewing these animals for their input, and they're giving you information.
Yeah.
Is that
as best I can understand it, through behavior and
yeah.
every tool that we have, right? We're listening and trying to apply whatever it is that we can glean from paying attention to what the horses are saying to us as loudly as they can in every moment.
Yeah, which takes a lot of courage in the beginning. I think for me it did anyway, because when horses, in my experience, when horses know that you're listening and you actually are inviting their opinion, if you haven't been listening to them for a while, they really let it rip for the first couple of days. They tell you everything loud and clear. And for me, that was a real humbling process, and a very real one, that your horse might not talk to you for a few days when you finally open that door of, how are you doing in this? How are you feeling about this? The first horse I did that with stuck the finger, the universal salute, middle finger to me for at least 3 days to really let me know that this is how she was feeling. And so it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, it takes humility. It takes a responsibility to keep stepping up, even though you might not like what they've got to say. It can be a little bit painful, because if we rely on that love connection, and it's not that they don't love us, it's just that they maybe don't appreciate some of the things we're doing. But there is a way through that, and it ultimately end up with a much more honest and beautiful, deep connection.
And I had quite an opportunity here too, because it takes a while for sometimes the horses to express themselves when they're more when they've been used to complying. And so I have an opportunity with the herd that I'm at here, where I knew them 10 years ago, and then I've come back in now, and they've had 10 years of people doing their best to understand what it is that they're wanting and what they're saying. And so they're a lot more expressive than they were 10 years ago. And so then to work with that new level of exuberance, it's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it gets me thinking about back to some of these extremes that get our attention. And, we humans have our fears. If we just put out in general, what makes somebody angry or sad or causes somebody to act out. It's a fear of something, fear of not looking like you're doing your best, or fear that somebody may judge you. And I think we can also speak well to that, how horses are not nearly as critical as you might claim. They love when we're trying. They love when we're talking to them and including them in the conversation with our fears. And I often tell people, and when I'm talking to them wherever I'm going to speak, about uh, I know you're worried about, can I still do this with my horse if I don't use a bit, or if I don't use shoes on them, or if I go to this kind of tack that you're talking about, am I still going to be able to do this and that? What I end up saying is, watch. When you start to really include everybody and ask everybody what they think, including the horse, you get to experience something beyond, and those fears just start to go away. And I know they're there, so I think it's important to let people know we're not naive to some of these pressures, some of these fears that are there. Uh, and what does that look like? Just being truthful, giving people an opportunity to express themselves freely, right? That freedom of expression again. Uh, it, it's a beautiful process to help people into that space, because that's where we have to meet them where they are with their fears, and then loving encouragement, right? To try it.
Awesome. So that leads us nicely into what we're going to do next. So if you think that you'd like some of that, you're in the right place. So we're going to actually have some webinar in a couple of weeks where we'll practice this, where we get to show up as we are and come into herd, so that we can allow emergent intelligence to show us the way forward. So if that sounds like something you'd want to do, stay tuned. So I'm aware your herd is calling you, Thomas.
Yeah.
We should wrap this up. So if you want to experience that, come to our next webinar. You can email us with any questions at connect@weareherd.com. The website you can go to, weareherd.com. There you will find the Declaration of Interdependence.
.org.
Oh, .org.
Yeah.
.org.
So sorry, .org. Yeah, so connect@weareherd.org, not .com, and weareherd.org. At the website, you'll find our Declaration of Interdependence, which is what we're saying is it's speaking. If you read it and you like it, if it speaks to your heart, it's where you begin. If you sign that, then you're adding your voice, you're stepping up for Equus, and then you'll get a bunch of information following that on how, what we think are the minimum requirement for a horse to be happy and healthy. So lots of information there. You can also join us on Facebook. The group is called We Are Herd. If you apply to join, we'll let you in if your heart resonates with the declaration. So I think that's us. Any final words?
Sounds like a fun time to me to connect with everybody who really wants to feel into the power of what draws us together as individuals, as into herds with other people that love horses like we do. So we really want to join with you and explore that more.
And I would just say that it's such a great state to be in, just to be open and curious and not knowing it all. And that's such a nice way to get together and, with other humans. And so I'm looking forward to our next webinar and hearing from everyone out there. And yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun. All right. Thank you so much.
See you there.
See you next time.
Okay.